Hi guys! I am not working on a Winx video. I'm working on a Scooby-Doo deep dive and Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. deep dive. And I got, like, what am I supposed to do? Make a whole ass video on, like, that nonsense? I don't know. Diva. I haven't even watched it. I don't have it in me. Hello. You haven't seen the cut hair yet? Did we get something new from Winx? You know, like the reboot? They released another, not even half of this season. They released 12 episodes or however many, I think 12 at first. Was it last year? Or like, not last year, maybe March or something like that. Anyway, and then now they released 6 more episodes and called it a day. Hi, baby. It's not even the second part, it's just 6 episodes. And honestly, the story is so bad. You can't just like make it so uninteresting and expect results. It's just genuinely crazy, do you know what I mean? I get that there's probably people waiting for a review or something, but what is there to review at this point? Like, I don't even know. I was trying to still talk about those seasons and about the reboot and whatever, because people are, oh, I'm like messed up again here because of my classes. Damn it. Well, whatever. Because people were asking for it, but like, do you guys care? And if you do, why? I mean, we can do it, of course. I just don't understand, like, I feel like it's the same type of nonsense all the time. It's just like lazy writing, AI used for everything. Basically just like disrespect upon disrespect, not just to the audience, but to the craft itself. It's ridiculous, genuinely. Let me blend this shit out real quick. I'm getting it all over my lips. Diva. Okay. Who said that? How now that you changed your user from SimLisa to StreamLisa, the link on Twitch is broken and people can't get to YouTube, so maybe if you have time, consider changing it. Okay, Slay. I can do that. A live stream? I guess we could do that, but that would require me to watch it. You know, the thing is, it was a lot easier also to watch it last time because Winx Club .2, like TO, was still around. Then like they had some kind of breakdown and were like, I don't want to be involved with this fandom anymore or something like that. I don't know the drama, but they left. Someone was gonna take over the website, but they were like, we need to see if people can pay to support it or something, I think. Pay for hosting, right? All the hosting of all those files costs money and stuff. And I think that they probably didn't get as many donations as they wanted to or needed to in order to keep up with it. I'm assuming that's what happened, okay? But I can't tell you 100%, obviously, because I was not the one who was dealing with that shit, but something along those lines happened, I think. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I kind of, at least when I was watching those like bad seasons, it was performing well. But now, I think that video that I did on the reboot is maybe at like, what? There was a sub and I missed it? How so? Let me see. Oh my god! Decent. I'm so confused as to why it didn't... Did it play for you guys? Because it didn't play the alert on my side. What the heck? Oh, you know what? I remember that sometimes it goes off randomly. Remember how like it spooked us a couple of times? I feel like it might do that again. I'm pretty sure that my sound for it is Zimzalabim. And usually it has like a little GIF come up from Peekaboo. But regardless, at least it was, at least my line went off, but it should be Zimzalabim. Anyway. So I don't know, you guys. We could have a live if you really wanted to happen. Um, so I'm going to, maybe do like a vote at some point. Cause I'm telling you, I'm not getting into that shit. For nothing. Unless the audience wants it, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Oh, hi. You usually asleep at 9 p.m.? I'm such a night owl. I'm always up at night. But yeah, we've got so many topics to go for today. I didn't put all of them in the title. I thought I saw a gif of the girl from Bound with my Lioness sound when they subbed. What the heck? Really? Okay, I'm gonna have to like rewatch that part and see later on, but that's so strange. I just finished rewatching season 1 to 3 of Winx and forgot how ass the season 3 ending is. Okay, listen. Oh, hi, Mercury. Yeah. Yeah. It's not working again? Fuck me backwards. Holy shit. Wait. Every time I have to add it again and again in every fucking scene. It's ridiculous. Anyway, now it should work. Now it should work. Sorry, guys. What's the tea? Well, we were talking about how some people are wondering if I'm going to talk about the new episodes of the reboot, and I haven't watched them. I have no desire to watch them, but if I'm gonna do a vote, probably on the community page or something. If people want to see it, I'll do it. But other than that, I'm not fucking touching it with a 10-foot pole. And then we kind of started talking about the end of season 3, that it was ass. And listen, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. What am I supposed to say? Like, it was ass. I think the reason for it, honestly, is the fact that the ending should have been the movie, right? So they kind of tried really hard to create a faux ending so they could have that full movie that has that whole arc and covers everything nicely, I guess, right? It's just, it honestly, I don't even think that there's anything wrong with season 3 except for the fact that they were like what they were trying to do at the end. I don't think there's too much in it. I don't think it's like too dense or anything, but I think that they should have just maybe, I don't know. I understand why this happened. It's genuinely just because they needed something for the movie. But I just don't fuck with having the ending be separated into a movie, I guess. I don't know. I think that I understand why it happened. I don't know if I would have made the same decision or not. But it would have been a phenomenal season if it was extended. Actually, maybe if the last 5 to 6 episodes, instead of being what they were in the show, like what they did with season 3 at the very end, they replaced it with the storyline of the movie. That would have been like, maybe obviously like you would have to have a bit more going on in terms of filler because it's 6 episodes and the movie is only like 3 episodes long or whatever, but it would have been a phenomenal season. So good that it would have been like absolutely insane. But everything else, do you think Charmix should have made a comeback in season 3 or let it be exclusive to season 2? I think that they should have used Charmix in season 3 just for continuity, as like a temporary boost, may chance. But I don't think it's that important. When they started switching perspectives and saying Stella, Bloom, etc., I was like, are we really doing this? Dude, I don't even remember that. Was that when they were like trying to save the specialists? Hi, Clara. I think he was supposed to. What I think that he was supposed to be the main villain for the movie. But they were like, shit, we need someone to be the main villain at the very end of season 3. We can't have like no battle or no wrap up to the villain of the season. Because the thing is, the ancestral witches are a shit antagonist. They are very typical, and they were kind of always in tandem with Voltor. You know, like he was the one who was kind of doing all this shit. They were like kind of menacing, but in the background. Do you know what I mean? Hi, Pakrash. The Winx cutscenes with them shouting their name was a warning to season 5 to 8 of the Winx shouting their names in the transformations. Diva. It would have been interesting if we found out that Valtor was stealing magic to gain enough power to bust the ancestral witches out of obsidian. Yeah. Tricks are better than their flop ancestors. Yeah. I still don't understand how they could possibly be their ancestors. Like, are they sisters? Are they not? Is it like spiritual ancestry in some kind of way? What the fuck is that? Anyway, there's like, there's a lot of issues with the first 3 seasons that I was hoping when I was a teen and I was kind of looking back at it. I was like, well, it would have been cool if they went back. Actually, not when I was a teen. I think when I remembered that Winx existed in 2020, I was like, damn, it would have been really great if they went back and fixed it all, right? Because like that's the thing that I was kind of hoping for with Fate. I knew that it was not going to happen, but if they would have done a proper life adaptation and they had that entire story, but they fixed all the issues, expanded all the relationships, allowed for adult themes to be fully discussed instead of being cut off or kind of just alluded to and stuff like that, it would have been such a good show. But we never actually got it because they keep on changing the story entirely, even though the bones of the story are always so much better in the original. And it's not because I have this nostalgia for it or whatever. I have nostalgia for the art style, things like that. The story itself was just, in terms of structure, a lot stronger. What's your thoughts on season 4 and especially Believix after all these years? It's interesting because now that I'm seeing, I can see all the other seasons that came after it. And then also recently when I was doing that history of magical girl shows episode of the podcast, I realized through like reading about research done into those magical girl shows, especially like those ones, the research was into the Japanese ones, obviously. It was really interesting to see the difference between what is so common with Japanese shows and how, as soon as the Italian show, this Italian property, merged entirely with the American property and like started to make this show specifically for English speaking audiences first, like with season 5 and onwards, so many of the things that are kind of staple in the magical girl shows and the Japanese magical girl shows came into Winx, that it's kind of really interesting. I mean, I know the thing is, the Japanese culture and American culture have a lot, and I mean a lot, in common. This weird puritanism while also having this weird obsession with sex, this combination of, they're very like hyper capitalistic societies that came from colonial entities, to the point where they have a lot in common, even though obviously like one of them has a history with like samurais and shit like that, and obviously America is completely different in terms of like the aesthetics and everything, and it's like a very young country that doesn't have that much of a history really. It's still, they have so much in common that it is really really interesting. Like the fact that these girls, and the thing is, Italy also has a lot in common with them, obviously. The whole access shit and whatever. Wait, let me actually catch up with you real quick so I can continue. Wait. Valtor calling out Icy's queer crush on Bloom was 10 out of 10 though. When was that? Rue, when was that? Yeah, instead we got Reboot, where the whole diaspora situation got worse. It always existed in a weird gray area with Sky and diaspora being arranged, but in Reboot, straight up cheating. Yeah. Daphne changing her Neo Fairy title every week is so funny. One day she's a nymph of Domino, then a nymph of Cyrenix. I'd like to see a plot twist where Trix are so tired of ancestral witches bothering them that they low-key team up with Winx to get rid of them. Anyway, so those, like, that research kind of led me to think about Winx before and after Nickelodeon. And it's so interesting that one of the core things that interests academics when they talk about magical girl shows and their influence on girls, especially the reflection of societal expectations and this conflict between giving these powers to this girl, like young characters, right? Usually characters that are sometimes even prepubescent, having this like powers that they give up later on when they grow up because they are entering adulthood, and it being specifically tied to the woman's role in society and sacrifice and things like that. It was really really interesting to see how in all of those magical girl shows they have this like specific thing where they continuously disallow the characters to grow up because their state of being a grown-up is in contradiction with their ability to wield that power that they have. And whenever they have to sacrifice themselves for whatever reason, it is coinciding with them giving up their powers as well. So there's also like this relationship to otaku culture and why so many men are like basically they make specific versions of magical girl shows that are made for straight men who are older and whatever the hell, that are kind of like more fan servicey and it's just a very interesting thing that in Winx, for example, they do have a sacrifice thing, which is the Enchantix, right? Plot, or Enchantix power up. And it's really interesting that in all the magical girl shows that are from the like original magical girl shows, which are the Japanese ones, their sacrifice is not treated the same, because the Winx sacrifice gives them a power up and they become a more powerful fairy. They don't give up their powers. They don't give up their entire identity. But in the magical girl shows, they kind of always have to end up being a sacrifice in a different type of way, where they are not a magical girl anymore. If I find the video of Valtor calling out Icy's gay crush, I'll send it in the Discord or something. Okay, Slay. Obviously, not a magical girl show, but the same thing happens to the MC in the Dark Materials books. I haven't heard of that series, so I can't tell you anything. Kind of like, now that you can make proper decisions with this power, give up on it. Yeah. Like being mature enough to think for this themselves. It's kind of treated, so the thing is, current magical girl shows, am I gonna have to make another episode on magical girl shows for the podcast? I'm not sure, but the point is, current magical girl shows, they're kind of like subverting the expectations and talking about these things. There's one show that in like 2014 that was kind of like the way that it's set up is that, and the plot twist of the show is that the girls who are the magical girls, the warriors of whatever kind, whenever they reach a certain point when they kind of lose their naivete or whatever, they become witches, which is the characters that the warriors are actually fighting. So they are basically fighting their future selves in the form of previous warriors that were before them. And this cycle is supposed to metaphorically represent like growing up as a girl and then having to sacrifice your interests for the sake of continuation of this race or whatever the fuck, right? This race, human race, right? Humankind, whatever. It reminds me of the end of Doremi. It's been years since I've seen that anime, but I believe that at the end they most sacrificed their magic to save one of their friends. It felt so betraying. Yeah. Have you guys watched Pretty Pretty Please? I don't want to be a magical girl. I haven't watched it. I've heard of it because of this research that I've done. Basically, Winx are getting rewarded for their efforts versus classic anime magical girls get punished. Yes, your podcast episode was so interesting, so weird that it's always magical girls that have to give up their power and grow up, whereas male superheroes can be heroes forever. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like Madoka Magica. Is it Madoka Magica? I don't think so. Let me see. What show was it? We discussed it on Patreon in this, like, when we were reading this text together. I had this text as like a signed text for one of the weeks. Let me see. This text was called Gender Identities in Magical Girl Genre in Post-Disaster Japan. What the fuck is the name of this thing? God damn it. One sec, you guys. Let me see. Yes, Madoka Magica. I think it's Madoka Magica, yes. I just needed to make sure, divas. Anyway, so basically, nowadays they're kind of addressing it, right? They're addressing that metaphor. They're addressing that every single show was quite, like, it had these ideas baked into it, right? Um, and these shows are addressing that baked in idea. However, the solution, let's say, in quotations, is kind of to accept your fate. There are different characters that kind of address it in different ways, but overall, it's kind of like a thing of yes, it's unfair, but there's nothing we can do about it. Someone has to do it, kind of thing. Which is a progress to compare to like the 70s, the 90s magical girl shows, but definitely still a grim approach that puts all the responsibility on the girls and kind of being like, well, you have to sacrifice yourself. That's just how it is. So I do think that this is a lot more complicated in those shows in terms of how they approach it and stuff like that, but overall they still don't resolve this issue, because I think that a lot of people in real life don't want to resolve that issue or are afraid to address it as is. But this is kind of why this is so interesting to me to compare those shows to how Winx is written, because and this is my answer why I was talking about it as Mercury, is because you asked about season 4, and season 4 is so interesting to me from that perspective now, because they were anyway, because they were allowed to grow up. They were allowed to have the relationship, but from the beginning, they had relationships with male characters. And those relationships were progressing, not on the sidelines. They were also already 16, 17 when the show starts, not even when it ends. When it ends, they're like 20, 21, maybe 22 even. I just changed your perspective on season 4. What, did you hate it? Because the thing is, I never hated it, but I never loved it. And then I was reading this text, and suddenly I was like, wait, this is so interesting, because this happened before the merger with Nickelodeon, where all of a sudden, all of those seasons afterwards have so much more in common. Like, for example, the relationships with the specialists always being static and never having anything to do with them anymore. The fact that they all consistently get snapped back into their childhood selves, they consistently regress in terms of age. The fact that their relationships with each other, I would say that one thing that's different is that the Japanese shows always have different types of like stereotypical kind of, or like archetypes of characters that they lean into really heavily, whereas Winx just become a hive mind. They don't have a lot of differences between themselves or between each other, right? The power-ups become object related, which is very similar to how a lot of Japanese shows were functioning, because they were prioritizing toys, right? So the thing is, it's not to say that Winx wasn't prioritizing toys and production of goods that could be sold and other things like that, but it's really interesting how much they adjusted specifically in those things that are usually discussed by academics in terms of their reflection of cultural differences or cultural importance, and like gender inequality. It's just really strange because, like, I'm telling you, like, season 4, we got progression in terms of their characters. They have relationship progression. um they also have they also get jobs. They go to Earth, and like the way that they are treated is like the early 20s type of thing. Like they are given, because the like magic is not as effective there, and they have to be returning magic to Earth. There's a lot of conversation about things that are not typical for a magical girl show. It's really interesting because the thing is, Witch, for example, has a lot more in common with magical girl shows of Japan, mostly because the girls are very young. They're like 12 or 13 when the show starts, or where well, the show starts with them being 12 or turning 12, which is crazy. The graphic novels, I believe that they're 12 turning 13 when it starts. And that's already more in common with what the Japanese shows go for. They also transform into their older selves, into like a grown up version of themselves when they transform. Yeah. Anyway, Diva, I went to look for you for the Valtor IC Diva off in season 3, episode 24, 12 minutes and 55 seconds. Valtor says Bloom and IC are linked. You gotta send it in on Discord, Diva, because I don't have the. Or should I? Did you want to see it together? Is that why I just sent it here? I was 5 when Winx season 4 came out, so naturally I had an obsession with the pets. I wanted a magic pet so bad. I fell right into their trap. um anyway. Um so have you guys seen the Nara Smith bullshit? I hate having to talk about her every fucking 4 business months. Um, is season 4 of Winx perfect? No, but there's so much to love. People can never make me hate it. It was a season where they still treated the series with respect. Was it a money making machine at that point? Yes. But they were still treating it with respect. They still gave a fuck about story. They still thought of it as a show that has a beginning and end. They still treated it as like an actual narrative. And oh my god, Pikachu. I saw her talking about why she's not a trad wife. Is that what you're talking about, or is there more to it? Yeah, that. This girly pop is treating us like we're fucking idiots, for real. I mean, just who does that? I listen, I'm gonna add it in because we have got to watch it together because this is so annoying. And this is why I can't stand, well, it's not the only reason why I can't stand Call Her Daddy. Honestly, that whole podcast was always kind of just a bunch of bullshit, but I just cannot, with the fact that there's no real interviews anymore. Everything is so rigged. There's no power on the side of the journalists anymore, to the point where no one is ever going to push back or ask proper fucking questions in interview settings anymore, because no one goes to those people. I'm sure there are people who are willing to ask those questions. There are people who actually know how to be journalists. This is not a question of like the journalists suck. No, they don't. It's just the journalists that we see, the ones that actually book those people, the ones that have access to those people, are the ones who will be carving their image to their liking, and not people who are going to actually ask any proper questions. Yeah, imagine saying that she's not a trad wife when she has a whole ass ballerina farm photo. I genuinely, like, for the love of fuck, diva. Let me add this in just so you can see what the hell we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, so let's call it what it is. So people
Yeah.
started to compare you to trad wife.
Yeah.
And people were
They kind
like,
of used me as the poster child for the trad wife movement, which was very bizarre to me.
why was that bizarre to you?
It was bizarre to me for a multitude of reasons, but you know what? Let's Google what the definition of a trad wife is.
Well, that's perfect.
So
I'm actually going to ask you, what
Yes.
do you consider a trad wife?
Well, I had to look up the term
Read it to me.
because I wasn't familiar with that, right? I didn't quite know what it means. But the fast answer is a trad wife is a woman who embraces or promotes a traditional model of marriage and family life where she typically prioritizes being a homemaker and a primary caregiver for kids, takes primary responsibility for cooking, cleaning, and managing the household, supports her husband's role as the primary breadwinner, often values traditional gender roles within marriage. So with that definition and those points, I'm none of that. And we can go through it point by point. I don't prioritize being a homemaker. I'm a working mom. Like, I am out in LA. I travel a lot. Do I love cooking because it's my passion and because I kind of have to do it given my autoimmune? Absolutely. But that's a passion of mine. It's a hobby. It's not something that I need to be doing for what?
Right?
Right.
Keep going. I like this. This
You
is
know?
good. This is good.
Primary caregiver for my kids.
Of course
No.
you like
My
that.
husband and I split it 50-50. Like, when he works, I watch them. When I work, he watches them. And now, given everything that's been going on, we also have help. My mom's out. We have someone that helps us with the kids because it's just not doable for me to do it all. So that doesn't really work, right? Takes primary responsibility for cooking, cleaning, and managing the household. Yeah, I like to cook. Okay, sue me. I like to cook. My husband burns everything apart from a good steak, so he'll do that. But I like cooking, so I'm doing it. Household and cleaning, he does the dishes. I don't touch the dishes. There's no way you're gonna see me washing and scrubbing the dishes. Also, he cleans our house. So he's like very like specific with how things need to be cleaned. So he does it.
Perfect.
So that doesn't make any sense. Supports the husband's role as the primary breadwinner. No, we both work. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I provide for our family.
So really, I think what's happening is they're taking the image of a woman in a kitchen
Yeah.
in a gorgeous
Yeah.
dress, and they are assuming that this is your life and we are going back in time, and this is like a very traditional in the
I think
traditional
there's
sense.
also a bigger conversation to be had, because everything that I've been reading online, I find it very concerning almost that we need to put women in very specific, very narrow boxes in order to make sense of them. I don't think so. Why can't we do it all? Why can't we be a working mom that enjoys cooking, that enjoys being at home and taking care of our kids, but also is on the next plane out to LA to take business meetings with big executives? Like, why can't that coexist? And I think that's something that's very concerning to me, that a woman can't exist under any terms but the little boxes we put them in.
Okay. Dumbass.
Yeah, so let's call it what it is.
Dumbass approach, dumbass take, dumbass. Like, does she think everyone is fucking stupid? Okay. So everyone who talked about her online, a lot of people who were discussing her obviously just were stating their opinions, but there were a lot of people who were stating their opinions from a perspective of somebody who actually understands socioeconomic issues, okay, and understands media it's used in our society and the way that it influences people. This is just so sinister. Sorry, lady. I know that someone might clip this and be like, she said the word sinister. She called me evil. That's so crazy. But it is what it is, Diva, because you have been making a shit ton of money off of monetizing a fad, monetizing a thing that has been promoted on so many platforms, not even because of her putting in money into the promotion of it, but because it was one of the things that was getting a lot of engagement, first of all, and second of all, because whenever something is prioritized by our governments, for example, getting more people to be born, when people don't want to be giving birth to any more children in the world that's fucking burning outside, they start pushing creators that already create things that are falling into this narrative. It's kind of instead of paying somebody and having this direct relationship with a person where there would be a traceable link from people who are interested in promoting a certain set of values. Instead of doing that, they've been doing a different thing forever, where they just pour in the money into people that are already doing the thing that they are interested in or the thing that they find valuable. This is the most, all of the most famous examples of this that are the most also I guess examples that worked really well are examples of creating this natural, in quotations, opposition within leftist movements in order to discredit real leftist governments, creating this division for the sake of labeling anyone who actually wants real change and doesn't want to negotiate with Nazis as an extremist of some sort. And it was usually done through people like Chomsky, for example, or Zizek. Is it Zizek or Zizek? I'm pretty sure it's Zizek. If you speak his language, let me know. In any case, they are the most famous examples of that, where, for example, Chomsky he had such a huge position in a very famous university, right? Was it? I think it was MIT. Wait, let me see. Wait. Actually, I'm going to do it in a different window, so this is still here. Let me see. Yeah, Chomsky Institute. This is professor. He's MIT linguistics. He had a whole ass. Where is it? Chomsky. University of Arizona, Institute Professor Emeritus from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Anyway, that's not that important right now, but basically he had a shit ton of funding, had a really cushy position and stuff like that, while being incredibly, yes, Lavoy, while being incredibly, not incredibly, but being a leftist, right? So there's definitely this specific approach that specifically the Western governments love most, which is trying to keep this relationship separate between the actual funding agents and the people who are creating media that is beneficial to their ideas, by funding or creating things like, for example, awards that are given to people for specific books or research, other things like that, where they feed those people through other means instead of directly funding them and telling them that they're funding them, right? So that person doesn't think that they're the agent of that government or that propaganda, but they actually are, right? It's kind of some of the people who were involved in the American 1950s art movements, they didn't know that they were funded, some of them. They were funded through those types of means. It's a very old fucking textbook approach. So when you see a lot of trad wifery rising to the top, it's both the fact that it's controversial, so it's creating a lot of buzz and a lot of conversation, while at the same time, they definitely are beneficial and profitable to a government that really needs everyone to give up their rights, especially because they're focused on trying to get the benefits of double enslavement of women, right? Like, if your government benefits from the double enslavement of women that happens in the workplace and at home, they are, and it's a capitalist government, so they are definitely, they're interested in perpetuating that. They are definitely going to make things like abortion not accessible, because it creates more people, but it also creates this ties between people where women just don't have rights, like in so many different aspects, because of just the abortion thing not being available. I believe the Mormon Church does that. Nara is definitely being funded by them. Yes. That's why whenever I find out that someone is a Mormon or someone is from like one of the evangelical churches, even if they are not in it per se, if they're not vocally against them, I'm a little bit suspicious. Even if there's no like direct tie. With Nara, to be honest, to me, they are one of those, especially the Lucky family, the Lucky Blue Smith family. To me, that family is one of those entertainment families that they all have. Like, all of the churches in America, they're so strange. You know, American churches, they do this shit where they're like, we love tradition and we love this and that, and we're following the word of God. And then you walk into their church and it's basically a stadium with the fucking pyrotechnic led performance, rock song playing and shit like that, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? This is so typical of this new evangelical wave or Mormonism wave, all of those like religious people. They use pop culture and use this interest in music and entertainment, basically the bread and circuses part of bread and circuses. They're using it to their advantage to get people who are not particularly interested in limiting themselves through religion and through all those rules and regulations, and they get them in through this entertainment aspect of it, right, that they have created to be part of the whole thing. Let me read the comments quickly. I wonder what venture she's planning on pursuing soon. She was very happy to garner a certain audience before, so what changed? It just doesn't make that much money, because the thing is, a lot of people... What? Because her child got cancer? Does her did one of her children get cancer? Anyway, saying her child specifically didn't deserve cancer because she ate clean, as if homemade toothpaste and Oreos prevent cancer. Very maha? I must have been maga, maybe. Yeah, I don't accept the conflation of assessing influence professionals dictate, create, and setting women back in little boxes. Like they want to be on the right side so much. Some children deserve life-threatening diseases. Are you joking? Yeah, I don't know. I believe the Mormon Church. Oh wait, I already Make America Healthy Again. Oh, got it. Taylor Lorenz has talked about realizing she was used like this as a young reporter. I've mostly heard it called useful idiot. Oh yeah, kind of like that. But the thing is, like, they're usually benefiting from it so much, and sometimes they even know it. Like, it's kind of like how a lot of people who are defectors from countries, they will say anything and they will do anything as long as there's coin falling into their pocket. And there's a smaller version of that in a lot of immigrants who come from countries that are considered to be political enemies of the West, that will say and do anything to discredit or to say bullshit about their country, even if, like, some of it can be true, but a lot of people will exaggerate and whatever just to get more cookie points or more benefits from Westerners who really love to be glazed for this. Not just glazed, but to be reassured in their stance that they feel uncomfortable with from time to time when they realize how much destruction they bring to other places. They really love those people who will come and be like, God, it's so good that you guys bombed us and took our oil, because now we're so indebted to you for bringing freedom. You know, they really love that shit, and they will actually be more likely to give you opportunities, to let you assimilate into their circles. It's basically one of those things that's really hard to withstand the allure of if you are a kind of down on your luck immigrant, I guess. It is cuck behavior, though. You're right. Like, what am I supposed to say? It is cuck behavior. Regardless, with Nara in particular, she's benefited so much from this wave of trad wifery. She's also benefited the fact that, you know, in her videos, she was specifically not addressing the trad wife shit while it was bringing in the big bucks. Let's start there, right? She did not address it when it was bringing in the big bucks. Now that it's a type of shit that so many people are making videos about, I'm sure she's not getting as much traction. I haven't talked about her in a while, which to her probably is more significant in terms of like her income and everything, because I'm sure that the algorithm stops prioritizing you as much when there's so much content that they could be picking up, right? So when she was the dominant voice of that, I guess it didn't bother her that much, right? Because she was making so much money for absolutely no reason. Now, also, I think that a lot of creatives, a lot of people who are working in the modeling and like photography, all of the arts that are commercially commercially focused on commerce, let's say it that way. She's definitely realizing that to keep interest, you have to kind of continually pretend like you're not doing what you're doing. That's the thing with right-wingers. Their grift is always going to be about lying to everybody. This is why it's so much easier to build a following if you're not saying what you believe in, and if you're calling yourself non-political, but then when people listen to you, like for example Joe Rogan consistently says that he's not political. This is the most right-wing person imaginable, and this mofo sits there and genuinely tells you he's not political and his show is not political, which is absolute bullshit. But it does work because people don't want to be listening not everybody, but a lot of people don't want to be listening to political conversation, or they want to feel like they are participating in things like, oh, we're just getting educated on like science, or we're talking about art, or we're talking about this, about that. And because the focus is on a different thing, this passive information that they're receiving that is very much loaded with a lot of political rhetoric, it absorbs so fucking well. Do you know what I mean? Like it just passively absorbs from the sides, kind of just falling into place while they're doing their daily routines, daily tasks, and listening passively to whatever that guy is saying. You know what I mean? It's proven to be a lot more effective than any other form of propaganda. So she realized that she's kind of falling a little bit too far into this tradwifery too directly and too basically, this is what I want to say about her. Nara Smith is similar to someone like Serena Joy from the Handmaid's Tale. She is someone who will promote values that hurt a whole, like half of the population. She will create media that pushes narratives that will hurt and put people into compromised positions, undermine their rights, make their economic state so precarious that they would be basically ruining their entire lives for the rest of their time on this fucking earth. And she will not be part of this, this effect for at least a little while because of her position in that movement as somebody who is promoting these values. She is privileged as is. She is in a position where she's basically not affected by any of the values that she is spewing, that she's promoting. She is kind of like Serena Joy before she realized that Serena Joy also doesn't have that many rights whenever the society actually adopts all of those belief systems. She's basically the type of person who's like, rights for me but not for thee. She's the type of person who is like, I'm not a feminist, but if you tell them, okay, then give me back your fucking credit card because you can't go to work anymore. Actually, you can't have a bank account at all. Also, give me all of your give me your car, the keys to your car. You can't drive anymore. You're not allowed to. Can't work anymore. You're not allowed to. Can't have your own bank account. Not allowed to. There's a bunch of other shit. I don't want to be honestly like getting into all of that because it's just fucking depressing. But in this situation, you basically kind of get this woman who believes that she can have her cake and eat it too. She can promote these views that would basically imply subjugation of her kind, but she thinks that she's not going to be one of the people who are going to be affected. And because Nara is not the one that's being affected, since she is promoting these views, but there's resistance to it, right? So like this society is not just going to fall into this view immediately. Serena Joy from Handmaid's Tale is somebody who got everything that she was advocating for. And when she got everything that she was advocating for, she realized she's gonna fucking have her fingers cut off for reading the Bible because reading is not allowed for women. And suddenly she's like, well, that's fucked up. So this is the type of woman you're dealing with who genuinely thinks that she's that she's exempt, I guess. And the fact of the matter is, Nara, because of her money and because society is not just going to snap into this state immediately, she is eating cake and she's having it too at the same time. Because what is she doing right now? What were we talking about the entire time, where everyone was talking about how you're having such a bad influence on everything, you are promoting these views, you went to take pictures with ballerina farms, and the image itself that they had there was so traditionally American, like family where the women are staying home and they're producing kids every 2 business days. She has 5 children under 25 years old, diva. What do you mean you're not promoting these views? What do you mean? She's genuinely one of those wealthy women who thinks that her wealth and status separate her from the masses of women that exist below them. And the thing is, it does separate her. That's why she does these things. That's why she can do these things, because she is like we were actually discussing this a lot when she was in her tradwifery phase without like addressing it. She was just doing it without responding to criticism, right? When she was in that state or stage of her career, what was she doing in reality? Was she at home, not doing anything? Not doing anything, I mean, like, not working, right? Not being allowed to work or something. No. Was she, did she have no help with her kids or something like that? No. The entire time, she was basically living a life of luxury, right? Working, going, doing her thing. She was allowed to self-actualize, all of that kind of stuff, because she was bringing in the big bucks. I'm sure this is like allowing for some wiggle room, even if the family is still quite traditional behind the scenes or whatever the hell. We were discussing specifically this hypocrisy this entire time, that diva, you're not a trad wife because you're the one making the money. You're the one who is self-actualizing in the family too. Like, it's not like Lucky is the only one who gets to go do his thing, right? And it's not like she's lying in this video. She is actually not a traditional wife. However, the fact that she's not a traditional wife was actually one of the points that people were bringing up when they were criticizing her and the things that she's promoting. People are always acting dumb. They love to act dumb. They love to come online after years of profiting off of some kind of grift and being like, I was never like that. I was never doing this type of thing. And it's like, what the fuck was that picture with Ballerina Farm that is quite literally it could be put in a museum as a photo, as a propaganda poster. A modern day propaganda poster. Let me see. Like, what the fuck is this barn life photo shoot then? She's not like other girls, nor will be she treated like other girls, final boss. She's eating the cake and having it too, and also selling it all at the same time. Yeah. If Alex was an actual interviewer, she would have brought up her photo shoot with Ballerina Farms. Exactly. It makes perfect sense for her to be able to cognitive dissonance her way through this trad wife thing, because she's also fine with being associated with Mormonism as a black person. Yeah. Definitely tapping into this mythical prairie life imagery, no matter what your stance on the messaging is. Yeah, like this whole Midwestern American thing. Like, this is very traditional values. They had a photo with an American flag on a pole right next to them. Dressed in dresses of, like, I'd say like maybe 1930s or some shit. Laura Loomer. Who the fuck is Laura Loomer? Oh yeah, let me look it up. I've heard that name. Oh, that bitch. Okay. Like Laura Loomer saying the war with Russia, Ukraine is Ukraine's fault, and now going to Ukraine and acting all surprised that Russia was the baddie all along. She knew, but her paycheck mattered more. Well, that's, again, okay. Ukraine-Russia war. This is not a Ukraine-Russia war. This is a war between NATO and Russia, first of all. Ukraine sold, like, their people, their politicians, sold them out. The same way as we were sold out in the 90s first, to be sold out to the West, to the British. British bought a bunch of shit for literal cents, because like creating a bunch of oligarchs in Russia that are running wild now. So thinking that the Ukraine-Russia war, what do you think it's about? What do you think that it's about, Bruno? What do you think is the motivation here? Where is the dirt? Like, oh my god, it's just those folk cosplay done by aristocratic people historically. Yes, but that's the thing. Like, even if they would have put dirt on it, it would be even more LARPy. You know what I mean? Sure, this dress isn't Schiaparelli. She just wants World War III. No, straight up. What you need to understand about every single conflict in the world, all of these things, like, for example, what Nara is doing, right? You have to be looking at the reality of material things, because they are the ones that are dictating whatever the fuck is going on. For example, the fact that Nara now is pivoting is not dictated by anything else but the fact that they need to ease people into, first of all, they need to ease people into this system of beliefs. If you just walk in and you go, we need all of you to give up your degrees, not read, not have access to anything anymore, and just like pay for intelligence as the AI overlords want us to. No one's gonna be like, yay, let's go, except for like a couple of cocked people who are obsessed with Elon Musk, for example. Being obsessed with that loser is just so pathetic. I don't even know how you can end up there, genuinely, but whatever. The point is, with these people, they realize when they go a little bit too far and lose their position in the popular culture, they're sold out. Yeah. Russia and Ukraine and NATO are all run by oligarchs for oligarchs. They sold out all the people of Ukraine and Russia for the sake of their for-profit war. Yes, and also on top of it all, this is also a, like, you know, a lot of people are always talking about, like, for example, territory, right? About like, oh, Russia wants the territory, whatever. Why the fuck would Russia, the biggest country in the world, want Ukrainian territory quickly? Do they have oil? No. Do they have something else that's so important? No. So what, like when people say things like that, it's like, just think about the money. This is not about, like, you're talking about a bunch of oligarchs making decisions. Do you think they give a fuck? Do you think they genuinely look at it and they're like, yay, this is so scrumptious, specifically for the sake of getting something like this? The thing is, there was a lot of territories where America could put their military bases and stuff like that right around every single country that they have like political issues with, right? So now, after years of that agreement where we agreed, the West and Russia decided that there's not going to be any nuclear or any other weapons on the border with Russia, right? Nowhere near in the countries that are surrounding the area. We had this agreement since World War II, right? Which I think is reasonable considering that because of their inaction and because they were so, like, the West was loving Nazis. They always loved them. And anyone who is not a white person can tell you that I'm right. Any person, any person who's ever dealt with white people coming and colonizing them, even if you're talking about like colonization, for example, in Siberia, whatever, bitch, yeah, we were what? Tsarists. It's so weird to say it in English, but you get it. It's royals, imperialism. Bitch, put two and two together, for the love of fuck. Like, these are two different political entities, right? First and foremost. Second of all, did you see Elon Musk said that money won't matter in 2036? God, this guy. It takes everything in me not to say things that I shouldn't be saying online about these fuckers. I swear, every day. Did you see that post about AI companies buying old books in bulk from bookstores, training their AI on them, and then burning them so people won't have access to them? We're so cooked. Yes, I was gonna talk about them today. About that today, actually. Okay, Slay, because I don't want to be fed posting, but you, like, it's just every time people bring them up, I'm like, holy fuck, like, my blood is boiling. For real, diva. Hi, Marbos. Anyway, so we're dealing with people here that don't understand, like, they like to think that, like, even the most leftist people I meet, maybe not the most leftist, but people who think that they are socialists and stuff like that, if they're Westerners, I'm always like, are you really though? Or are you just LARPing? Because the thing is, oftentimes you're talking to these people and they genuinely still regurgitate the propaganda that is so easily disproven that I don't know what's wrong with them. Like, it's so easy to promote like propaganda in the West because people here genuinely don't think that they're consuming propaganda. It's insane. Like, whenever you talk to anyone who's from the south of the world, or like usually with a lot of Eastern Europeans, or with a lot of not all of them unfortunately, but with a lot of them, a lot of people from Asia and stuff like that, they're always like, yeah, there's a lot of propaganda that is usually fed to us in different types of ways. You talk to an American, they think that they're never consuming it ever. And it's just so frustrating. Like, bitch, are you serious? Do you really think you're fucking, like, some kind of different species or something? Like, what do you think this is? Genuinely. Like, idiotic. Absolutely idiotic. And the thing is, you have to be looking at material conditions that people are living in. This is the only thing that dictates everything that's happening. Do not listen to what is being told to you in terms of, like, it's just these two groups of people dislike each other because of their nationality or something like that. And it's like, fuck, is it though? Because if you look at the situation, when you actually look into it, you're like, oh, it was the economic state of things. And then it's these guys who want to extract more shit, stoking the fire, creating like groups or funding groups that were extremists, so they destabilize the country so they can extract even more shit from it. The fact of the matter is, I was not the most like knowledgeable person on the Ukraine issue when it started. And by started, I mean 2022, when it was an actual invasion, not before then. I didn't know about Euromaidan that much back then either. Now I do, but back then I didn't know a lot about it. And what changed my opinion a lot was actually meeting people who were from Donetsk. Because before then, I was more under the impression that the West probably right, because to me, invasion is an invasion, right? I personally, I have said this before, what I would have done, which the West would have seen as a lot more aggressive than what Russia has done, right? If I was making decisions for Russia, considering our history, considering that they killed 27 million of us in World War II, 27 million of Soviet people, not Russians, 20 million Russians, but 27 Soviets, 27 million Soviets. I would have taken everyone who's has to deal with, issues based on their ethnic background, and I would have offered them relocation, right? That would have cost a lot less than the war, but that's also not interesting to oligarchs, right? Like everyone wants to make money off of the war. On top of it all, I would have put our nukes on the border. Because if you want to take Ukraine as one of your allies, as one of your poster children, right? Where you put your army, you put your military bases, you put your bombs, everything, your fucking rocket launchers there. Sure, we're gonna put like nukes on the border then, right? That's reasonable to me. I do know that the West would have taken it as very aggressive, a lot more aggressive than Russia going into Ukraine. Because to them, they don't give a fuck about this conflict like that, but they would give a fuck if you put actual nukes on the border and be like, well, you want mutual destruction, let's do mutual destruction. At this point, like you just don't listen to anyone's negotiations. You don't want to be honoring our previous negotiations. You don't want to honor. It's kind of like, when I moved here and I realized no one ever honors the negotiations that Canada had with indigenous populations here. They always cross the lines. It's like, why did you agree to that treaty if you're not going to follow it? I don't get it. It's like constantly the same fucking thing. And it's like, well, why did you agree to it at all? Whatever. Regardless, that would have been seen as a lot more aggressive by the West. Let's be real. But every time I talk to people here, I'm like, for you to understand why this is happening and why it's still happening, even though it's just profitable to the oligarchs, right? No one normal, no one who's not an oligarch is profiting off of this shit, right? It's only the oligarchs that are getting a sweet piece of the pie. So why is it still going on, right? To understand why this is an issue, just imagine, if you were an American, imagine that Canada would have allowed, not just allowed, but had an agreement with Russia to put nukes, to put rocket launchers and other things like that pointed at America and Washington, right? On the Canadian border. What if Russia had military bases in Toronto, Vancouver, right next to Seattle? How would you like that? The Cuban missile crisis, where Cuba just needed protection from America because they were too far into the Western territory to be left alone. And we see that today because Cuba is again on the brink of America absolutely decimating them. I mean, they already did, but they want to destroy them entirely, bomb them into smithereens, and they're gonna try and do it pretty soon. You don't like, let's do a prediction, right? They're gonna start doing it soon. As soon as they're done with whatever they are doing with Iran, they're not winning there anyway, so they're gonna turn to Cuba soon. If I'm wrong, you can come in and be like, Lisa, you were wrong. You can taunt me about that if you want to, but this is my prediction so far, because that's clearly what they're gonna be doing next, right? Now, Cuba got missiles back in the day to protect themselves, just to protect themselves. They were not saying that they were going to launch them or anything, right? And what did it do? Almost got World War III because America started to shake in their boots. Now, to America, their equivalent of Ukraine would be Canada. What if Canada, like what if we Canadians right now would have allowed military bases in, like, right on the border with America? Would you have liked that? Because every time I bring it up with Americans, they're like, holy shit, what? What? Like, that would be absolutely fucking insane. What are you even trying to say? It's kind of the same thing as bringing up men giving birth to men. Suddenly they realize that it's like such a, to them it's not even realized, they just suddenly don't want to talk anymore. They're like, this is such a crazy thing to even suggest because it's so fucked up to suggest something like that. And I'm like, oh, so it's okay to have this discussion. You don't mind it in other countries. You don't mind having these discussions because you don't see other people as human. Like, it's men don't see women as human, so they don't think it's a big deal for us to be giving birth and being ripped apart. So they have these discussions freely. And it's the same thing with Americans discussing putting their nukes or putting their fucking military bases all over the globe. Not a single fuck is given. I'm like, just imagine if we put a military base in Canada, a Russian military base in Canada right on your border. Would you like that? What would be your response? Right? But it's like they can't fucking fathom putting themselves in other people's shoes. It's weird. It's like, how, like why are you surprised that this conflict is not being wrapped up? If you keep funding, if you keep putting more and more people, especially Germans, if you put German missiles, their bombs or whatever, if you give them to Ukraine, what did you think the Russian response would be? It's just logic, dude. I mean, you can't expect everybody to just lie down and take it. I know that America is used to dealing like that with people, and they get really pissed off when they're dealing with somebody who's not lying down and taking it, which is really interesting. It's kind of like Israel, you know? They always bomb everybody, but then they go, well, why would you be resisting? I'm not ever going to be like, well, why is Ukraine resisting? Why do they have resistance? Like, it's not hard to understand why they do, even though you can understand where the issue is coming from, and you can understand that they're actually the ones getting fucked over in the end. The regular people, not the oligarchs, not the Ukrainian oligarchs who are benefiting from it, obviously, of course, because oligarchs of all countries are eating up on this shit. You have to understand that this is always going to be a top-down issue. It's always going to be a class war. This is not a war between people, it's a war between classes. And in the beginning, I did not, even with the God, dude, I just saw yesterday, fuck, I was so pissed off. I saw this guy, you know how like Selena Gomez, her makeup line, Rare Beauty, you know how it's like it's expanding to Israel now? So it was discussed by everybody. One sec, wait. Let me catch up. They think propaganda doesn't exist because it looks familiar. Yeah, because they've been eating it up for so long. They don't even notice, for example, what it looks like in their movies. The MCU, the entirety of it, all the superheroes, everything. Come on now. We don't think our country as having propaganda because our government has never admitted to it or its mistakes, where some other countries have at least acknowledged some wrongdoing. I'm not sure, because the thing is, CIA just always releases their documents, and they're always like, granted, it's always after the fact, many years after the fact that they do that. I would say it's usually 60, 70 years between when they do some shit and then when they release the documents that actually prove that they did do that shit. But if you're an American, you have the right to know all that shit, and you can go to the CIA and to FBI files that they declassify. Yes, they still block some information out. They still like black out some information. So it's still bullshit, right? But there's a lot of things, like, for example, that Hungarian conflict from 1956 or whatever it was, right? The one that created the term tanky, because it kind of divided the Eastern Bloc lefties, like leftists. They kind of were like infighting because of that issue, right? Because half of the people were saying that it wasn't funded by the US, and half of them were saying that it was, and everyone was kind of like fighting about it. I think last year we found out it was released, like it was declassified that they did fund it. So it's kind of like all of this information is out there. You can go and read it. You should, honestly, because, dude, we need to know this shit because they keep repeating their moves. They don't come up with new ones. They always repeat their moves. Turn on live chat instead of top messages. Yeah. American ego works in such a weird subconscious way. We have many people who simultaneously claim they are independent thinkers and skeptics, but parrot state propaganda with a conspiratorial flavor. Because it's always fed to you through nonsense. It's not fed to you like through direct government. Like usually the government creates kind of like subsidiary things that are named something like Freedom Express, the Sound of Freedom or something stupid like that, where that company funds other companies that produce content, something that's really fun and easy to consume, that has this information as just passive accepted fact. It's very passive information, and that's why it works so much, because no one comes up to you and says, this is what you're supposed to believe. They come up to you and they go, look at this movie where everyone is sexy hot and we blow shit up and it's fun as hell. And in that movie, just as an offhand thing, the hero and villain, when they're talking about something, both of them agree that the worst guy is this specific country, like that the people that they don't even like. Even the bad guy agrees that they're bad, and this is just like accepted as a fact in that movie by everybody. Good guys, bad guys, everyone. And this is just like a throwaway thing, and it works so well that when you talk to people, they don't know a thing about those countries. They don't know a single thing. They never looked into it, but they will be talking to you with a straight face, telling you that what are we, this country? Whenever something bad happens in America, I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Those people at least have roofs over their heads. Do you see how fucked the situation is here right now? Like, whenever people are like, why do you care about this or that? Like, go home or whatever. Like sometimes people say shit like that. And it's like, well, I live here. These are my neighbors now. Like, I live in Canada. This is my problem now that we have so many people living on the streets. If you've ever been to Vancouver and if you've ever gone to like Hastings area, you know what I'm talking about. We are dealing with such a huge issue. We have people amputating their limbs all the time in the winter because they are sleeping outside and they're getting frostbitten. And yet people still talk about fucking North Korea. And I'm like, at least they have a roof over their heads, bitch. Like, we're in such situation right now with such disparity between the upper class and the lower class that I don't want to be talking about nobody but us right now. My neighbors are living on the streets, diva. I walk out, there's so many people living on the streets. I don't want to talk about fucking North Korea. Like, what are you doing? Just be normal. Can you be normal? Can you give a fuck about what's going on with us first? Just as a suggestion, I don't know. Not the French media in 2022 saying, quote, unquote, let's welcome our Ukrainian siblings because they are blonde with blue eyes like us, while saying the most racist stuff about Black and North Africans. Dude, they quite literally, I was shocked. Fuck. This is the thing. There were so many things that changed my opinion on the Ukraine war, from being just shocked that we even invaded, right? To being like, oh, damn. Well, Ukraine is on some shit. Like, I didn't know what they were doing in Donbass. At least I thought it was propaganda, and that's it. That was my reasoning. Like, because the thing is, it's always going to be still oligarchs winning. So to me, regular Ukrainians, I'm not like looking at them as some kind of fucking enemies or some shit, And people are so like, the thing is, it was all like in succession. Like at first I was like believing everything that the Western media was saying, right? Because to me it was just crazy to invade, because we don't usually do that. And also on top of it all, just invading in general, right? Like you don't even have to have like any history of any country or whatever the fuck to be like, well, invasion, yuck, right? So then it was my friends at first who started to post weird shit about purity of blood, where I was like, what the fuck is going on? Friends who I realized while that was happening that they stopped talking to me like 2 years ago, even though I was still like messaging them from time to time. And I was kind of shocked by that. Then there was another shock of, running into people who, because the thing is, people who are outside of Ukraine who actually had the money to leave, some of them are normal people, and some of them are people who are from those battalions who were fucking up their own people, who were fucking around in their own country, messing everything up, just didn't give a shit about anybody, betrayed their own fucking people, right? Like that Masha girl, right? Who is quite literally publishing her artwork in quotations. She needs to really work on that. It's really horrible art. She published her work in this guy's publication who's quite literally in the Aidar battalion. Like I was just kind of thinking that it was just all made up until I started to run into it constantly, and I was like, okay, oh, this is bad. Then I was still thinking that it's just the bad apples, right? Like there's just a few of those people, which is true. Well, it kind of spread, but let's say that, like, especially at that point, I was like, it's still like a few people. Then it was the Israel issue, right? The Palestine thing kind of changed my mind on a lot of things, because I just didn't realize how bad it was, like how bad the Western entity, like I was always aware of the oligarchs in my country, and I always kind of looked at them as such, as oligarchs, right? And then I moved here and I was like, well, you call your billionaires just like businessmen who are really smart. Like, that's also oligarchs, Diva? Like, what do you think this is? Do you think that you're only an oligarch when you're a Russian and a capitalist? No, you're also an oligarch when you are an American and an oligarch. A capitalist. Like, what did you think this is? Like, it was a really weird kind of combination of things. And the thing that really put a nail in the coffin, when I was like, okay, I need to really look into it and look into the material conditions of everything that was going on before, during, and after. Not after, I guess before and during this war. Because this is getting ridiculous. What it was the Palestine issue. Because I did not expect this type of bullshit where Zelensky just showed up online. I don't know where he was. He was like giving some kind of speech or whatever, and he was like, we want to be like the big Israel. And I was like, okay, I need to really rethink everything. Like, I'm gonna go do my homework and then we'll regroup, because clearly there's something fucked going on. Because do I still think that every one of those issues is about money and about oligarchs? Yes, because this is capitalist countries we're dealing with. They're operating in a way that has nothing to do with the interests of the proletariat. Now, on top of it, I just kind of didn't expect this type of fuckery. Like, I don't know. The disappointment in everybody who was involved in this shit is just so immense, because, I don't know, definitely did not expect things to get, or things to be this openly fucked. Like, on top of it all, during this like thing with like them, Zelensky saying that they want to be like the big Israel or whatever, there was also this shit with all the news that were in the like European news stations were talking about it. Like, it's so disturbing seeing war in Ukraine because you see those blonde and blue-eyed children. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God, Europeans are on their shit again. I swear to God, like, when will you let the white supremacy go, bitch? Like, when will it happen? How are you both, like, I just don't understand. I just don't get it. You're probably right, it's fucking terrible. Let's just hope ego keeps them tied up in their main theater long enough to make Cuba much more difficult to be purposefully vague. Yeah, I hope so too. Iran has definitely put up a fight, good on them. Because I think that honestly, like, the conflict that they're having right now with the Hormuz and everything is kind of holding them off of going after Cuba entirely. But do you believe that if Ukraine stopped resisting, the war would end? I don't know shit, just trying to understand. No. The Ukraine issue is not about them resisting, not resisting. They are just used as a land for battle right now. No one is particularly interested in their interests. This is what happens when your government gives up like giving a fuck about the people, I guess, and they are interested. I mean, that's kind of the thing with all governments, but not all of them, but most of them at least. With this situation, it's not really gonna do anything if someone stops or starts resisting or whatever, because the issue is within the. It was a civil issue before, like civil war type of thing. I don't know if you guys know, but they like burned a bunch of socialists in the like early, I think it was before the invasion. They were kind of like already getting rid of anyone who was a leftist. And the thing is, any country has leftists, but especially those ones that have a history of being communist, right? So right now it's outlawed being a socialist in Ukraine. So anyone leftist is outlawed. They're quite literally, like, a lot of people were killed over this shit. Really good comrades fell because their country decided that, you know what, we want to be the new Israel, I guess. It's kind of telling that this East versus West Cold War politics is paid homage to the Japanese media. They make fun of it, lol. How so? How do they make fun of it? I feel like all the declassified files are so suppressed by the media that people either don't know about it or they think it's fake. They can ignore it because the media isn't really talking about it. It's really interesting because whenever I bring it up to people, they're always acting as if it's like conspiracy theory. And I'm like, it's on your government's website. Why are you confused about this? Like, just really, really strange. I'm like, dude, it's there. It's there on your government's website. You don't have to believe anybody speaking on it. There's declassified documentation. I don't know why you're surprised. Americans are so convinced they invented and they represent freedom. Is crazy. Also, China, they love talking about China for some reason. They always, I mean, of course they are. The thing is, their goal was to deal with Soviet Union before China, because Soviet Union was primarily, like, a huge portion of the Soviet Union was white, which is a really big insult to all the Nazis and all the imperialists and all the people who loved pillaging and shit, right? Because in this case, they have to explain to their own people, right? All the capitalists at the top have to explain to their proletariat class why they don't have better lives, but also on top of it all, why they are committing all the atrocities and whatever when the other whites don't do it, right? So they had to deal with the white people who were communists first. Now that they don't have that to deal with, they're dealing with China, because China is the most effective. It's the biggest one. It's 2 billion people. It is a huge market, and they have transformed themselves into such a production machine that they don't need anybody. They could actually sustain themselves on their own. They don't do it because they have taken a different route, but they could definitely do it if they want to. Because they quite literally, like, I think like what Soviet Union was like 300 something million, which is about the same as America in terms of population, and China is so much more populated than that. They can technically do whatever they fucking want. So now they're going to continue to talk about them in this type of language that they're somehow vaguely evil. They have not invaded anybody or done anything, but they are always treated as the bad guys. At least with me, like, it was my rationale. I'm like, okay, like, you could be upset about the invasion because it's an invasion, you know? At least you have a leg to stand on. With China, they keep on talking about them. I'm like, of course you're yapping, but at what cost? They all own their homes, but at what cost? Yeah, at what cost? We have people amputating their legs every fucking winter here in Canada. In Alberta, it's like the numbers are through the roof. But at what cost? China has housing for everyone. Like, fuck off. You're just a bunch of assholes, for real. Like, those capitalists, I swear to God. I cannot. In what other country but the USA would a movie like Borat work? The anti-era propaganda is unbelievable. I mean, the thing is, this type of movie would work in any capitalist country. In Soviet Union, it wouldn't fly. In Russia, it would. I don't know how many people would agree with it or disagree with it because, like, obviously there's a range of opinions in every country, and in Russia there would be people who would be upset about it too. But you can do it in any country that does not have hard lines of what you can and cannot do when it comes to this type of bullshit. Borat, that fucker, that actor who played him, who made that movie, I fucking can't stand that mofo because he went to Kazakhstan. People there welcomed him. They were being nice to him. They were being kind to him. And this motherfucker used the fact that they don't speak his language and don't know what the fuck he's saying and doing, and made a movie making fun of them for no reason. Went to all the places. Like, he didn't show the country from a positive light. You can also go to fucking trailer parks or go to main streets like fucking Skid Row in America and make a movie about America, right? Like, you could do the exact same thing to them. Like, he's such a dickhead. Like, whenever I realized that it wasn't even a fictional place and a fictional movie or whatever, he actually went to Kazakhstan, I was like, oh, honestly, Kazakhstani people should have a right to fucking shoot that guy for real. People in the South will be talking shit about immigrants. Meanwhile, on how people get terrorized by the police every winter in my city. Like, babe, why are we talking about immigrants when this is happening? I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get it. We have so many issues that we should deal with first, that deal with like how, like, our standard of living diminishing, and they are focused on stupid shit. They genuinely think that if there's more people, then there's less resources or something like that. And it's like, that's not how the economy works, baby girl. This is why when they limited the amount of students that can come back to Canada, right? Because they were like, it's the foreign students that are causing these economic issues. They are the ones who are causing our housing to be so expensive. So they limited the amount of people who would come. And then the next year, our economy dropped even lower because they weren't here to spend their money. And I was like, yeah, it's because you're a dumbass, because you think that it's the fault of some students who come here and spend shit ton of money to get this useless degree from a Canadian university. And then you're complaining about them while our landlords are buying off all of this property and raising prices every single year so much that we can't afford to live in those places anymore, and we have shit ton of housing that's empty. Like, you guys are dumb. 2 + 2 does not equal 4 to you. Like, this is why this is happening. They're constantly trying to figure out how to blame the immigrants, gays, fucking, I don't know, trans people, anybody under the sun, except looking at the money, because they don't want you to look at the money. They don't want to look. They don't want you to look at the housing, at the oil, where it goes, how it goes there. They don't want to. They don't want anybody looking at the money that they're spending and where they're spending it, who they're giving it to, how they're treating like healthcare, education, things like that, because they want you to keep fighting with each other. That's why they're constantly like, is the trans people? That's who did it. Yeah, right. Less than 1% of the population are at fault here. You're right. Like, idiotic shit, I swear to God. Off topic, I'm still confused about the Uyghur genocide in China. I see things from both sides and I don't understand what is true. Maybe I haven't done enough research, but I can't find reliable sources. Just go to Xinjiang. It's open. Diva. It's allowed to go there. They keep on telling you guys that you can't go to China and see with your own eyes. You can. You're allowed to. They literally allowed everybody to enter. On top of it all, this is very interesting to me that the same people who don't want to stop the bombing of Palestine are somehow all of a sudden give a fuck about Uyghurs. Really? Now you give a fuck about Uyghurs. Okay. So now you give a fuck about Arab people. Okay. Or not Arab people, I guess. This is like a more like Muslim people. So with Uyghurs, I know a few Uyghur people, they're telling me they're fine. You can go to Xinjiang. I think you should, honestly. There's no point in being like, is it true? Is it not true? Just go. Just go and see. I think it's they're open. The borders are open for everyone right now to go for a month, I believe. Just go anywhere you want in China, especially Xinjiang, since everyone wants to know for sure what's going on with Uyghurs. Just go there. From the ones that I know, everything is fine. There is a far-right group that Americans were trying to fund in the area, but they're a far-right group and Uyghurs don't fuck with them. At least as far as I know, the ones that I'm talking to, that's what I've heard, right? But I'm pretty sure like the borders are open, just go. I would go. If I had the money, I would go, because I'm curious to go around to see it, because also it is like my great grandfather's culture. I would have wanted to learn a bit more about Uyghurs in general, but I think that everyone would have a more enriching experience learning about this shit firsthand instead of like believing BBC, because BBC, you've seen how they talk about Palestine, you've seen how they talk about Arabs. What do you think they're not going to talk about China in the same fucked up way and come up with nonsense? I just don't trust them because of how they talk about Palestine. I didn't know much about whether they lie or they don't lie and whatever before the like 2023 kind of time. But now, knowing how they talk about them, how they consistently warp the language that they use, how they're constantly just go, Israel is moving in, oh no, Israel is just like chilling in Lebanon, or redrawing the map in Lebanon. They're like talking about it as if it's like not an aggressive thing that they're doing, that they're not like taking their territory or anything like that. At this point, like, how am I supposed to trust them? And by the way, it was BBC who started the whole Uyghur thing. Can you explain the narrative that Russia kidnapped Crimean children to Russify them? I hear this so much as a defense. but then the person can never explain it in a coherent way. Defensive unconditional support for Ukraine. You know, how do you even fucking Russify somebody? Isn't... Why would they need to do that? I was pretty sure that Crimean area, they have a lot of ethnic Russians now. Let me see. The primary languages spoken in Crimea: Russian, Ukrainian, and Crimean Tatar, with Russian being the most dominant. Yeah, that's what I thought. Why would they need to Russify somebody there? Exactly. If you're Tatar, you just also speak your own language too. I don't know. They keep on bringing up really random shit, actually. At least say that they, like, if you want to be saying that, like, come up with something like, oh, they stole kids from the western side of Ukraine and they made them speak Russian. That's Russification, right? What the fuck do you mean they made Crimean kids speak Russian? Most of them do speak Russian. The Crimean kids, anyway. I'm back from visiting sister. She's still in the hospital and I'm getting screamed at over a brush I didn't even lose because that's my mom's. Diva. I kind of pity her. She looks genuinely fucking miserable in that photo. Well, she decided to do these things, you know, choice feminism, apparently. And apparently she has no impact on anything whatsoever, you guys. It's not like she's making money off of pulling us further right. It's not like she's making money off of making right-wing Mormonism bullshit look modern. Anybody but themselves, it's never their fault. People simultaneously think we live in the best and worst place in the world. It's corrupt and awful, but they think that their cynicism and phobias will somehow protect it from getting worse like other countries and states. Yeah, that's a classic for everyone, honestly. It's been so successful. They've managed to convince working class people that asylum seekers are a threat. Yeah. And it's also like, why do you think they exist? You start conflicts. Why are you surprised those people are coming to you when you're the only place that's not affected by your aggression, right? Like, how are you surprised? Even when people come from countries that you have destroyed, why do you think they're there? They come to you because you're the only one who's not going to be under the bombing, right? Like, you have set the system up. How are you upset about it? It depends on which definition of genocide you use. I don't think that what happened in Xinjiang can be called a genocide, but coercive assimilation is definitely real. Again, at least that's what my friends told me, right? They said they had a few people. It was a very small part of the population, by the way, but they had a few people who were believing in that kind of like thing of like them being a like some other separate Islamic nation within China, within Xinjiang. They wanted like a part or something like that. And by the way, guess where most of the oil in China is? Is it Xinjiang? Is it Xinjiang again? Is it again the same thing as every single fucking other country where America is suddenly just like so interested in one specific group of people who are somehow very right-wing, somehow always thinking that they're supposed to be separated? Isn't it funny how it's the same thing is happening in Alberta and Canada right now? It's always so random, and they're always coercively assimilated into the culture of the country that they've been a part of the entire time. It's so crazy. Uyghur people are Chinese, Diva. Like, I know Uyghur people. They're Chinese. Uyghurs, yeah, Uyghur Chinese. And people are always coming up with nonsense about this. At least that's what my friends tell me from there. And once again, just go there. If you believe what BBC have said about Uyghurs and Xinjiang, just go there. The borders are open. Go see it. I don't understand why we're supposed to be talking about hypotheticals all the time and listening to people who come up with bullshit in the West if we can just go and see ourselves. There's no reason. It's not like it's a danger zone. It's not like I'm telling you to go to Palestine and see what's going on. It's just Xinjiang. People are just chilling there, living their lives. They have great food, by the way. Just go on a vacation to Xinjiang next time instead of wherever you go. Eat their great food. See the performances of their like traditional dances and stuff like that. Those are also great. The hotels are so fucking cheap in China, Diva. You could literally go for like a 3-week vacation, and the only thing that's gonna cost you a pretty penny is the tickets, like to get there, flying there. The hotels are cheap. The food is really affordable. They have so many different types of things you could go check out. If you're like into tech stuff, you could check out so much shit. They have so many like developments there. In Xinjiang, they have such beautiful like landscapes. My friend showed me pictures and I was like, damn, like I wanna go there. I wanna see it in person because it looks like dude, I don't know. It kind of looks like a fucking movie. It's so beautiful. And yeah, the hotels that I was looking at, I was like, damn, it's like only 30 Canadian bucks a night. The shittiest fucking hole in the wall hotel in Vancouver is $250 a night. This one is 30. God damn. Recently, my uncle was talking to my mom about something horrible that happened to my younger cousin and said somehow it was her fault for voting left. Our government is right wing, by the way, because they make the laws. Girl, what the fuck? Don't you think you should ask the people that say that they are being persecuted, which there are plenty, rather than people that are not being attacked or random people on the street of Xinjiang? Okay. So, for example, one of the girls I think this was what was it? How did I find them? There's this girl who's like advocating for Xinjiang people. She's like saying she's Uyghur and persecuted and whatever. And then it turned out that she was a part of an organization that's funded by National, what is it, Endowment for Democracy? Do you know about it? About National Endowment for Democracy? That organization? The fact of the matter is, if you give that much of a fuck, right, about things like that, why is it happening in your country? Why aren't you doing something in your country? Because I'm sure it's happening in your country. For some reason, it's only bad when it's happening in China or Iran or Russia or whatever. And no one ever wants to do anything about it here. Whenever I talk to people about situations that are happening here, like, for example, the fact that Mark Carney just made it legal for people to go to synagogues to buy pieces of land in Palestine that they just acquired through incessant bombing. And he called it protection of rights of people here. This is now part of our like laws that you can't interfere with the selling of Palestinian land in synagogues here in Canada. No one, for some reason, that doesn't fucking bother anybody. The fact that ICE is doing what they're doing and they're raping children that are getting pregnant and stuff, like, can you imagine if that was happening in China? We have evidence of this, by the way. With the Uyghur thing, we don't have actual evidence. But with ICE, we do. And yet, nothing is getting done. How is it always that you care so much about things that are happening somewhere else, but whenever things that are so much worse are happening here, no one wants to do anything? It's like talking to a wall here all the time. I talk to people about issues. I'm like, we can do this. For example, right now, the art sector in Vancouver is suffering a lot because the people who have inherited, again, this is like a generational thing. People who have inherited all the buildings, that all the galleries, all the third spaces, everything are in, they are raising rent by, what was it, 13% right now, I think, and then they're going to do 5% every year after that, which is so much higher than anything anyone could afford. So everyone's going to close, right? And we were discussing this with the people who are like on the boards of galleries and whatever, and I'm like, okay, I don't understand, why are we, because everyone's discussing it as in like, how are we going to absorb this cost? How are we going to get more donations, more funding, more grants? And I'm like, I'm sorry, huh? They come up with unreasonable numbers every single day. They want to basically destroy all cultural spaces, all of them in the city. And instead of doing something about it, right? Instead of like, I don't know, going to the city and being like, Diva, you either make it a law that they can't, like kind of the same law as they do with residential units, where you can't raise rent more than 2.5 or 2.6% per year. You either do that, or we're like really going to jump people like collectively, right? Instead of doing that, we're talking about how can we get more grants, which is what, public money from people like us who are paying taxes, right? How can we get more donations and funding from the community, which is, again, we're basically sucking out the last drops of money from the community so we can keep those community centers open, those galleries open, have all those things for people, right? But we're sucking the last money out of them that they are already paying for through their taxes. So we could make a few guys richer, who are already billionaires, by the way. So this is what we're dealing with every single day. Like, this is just like a small thing, but this is how the conversation goes. It's me going, well, why don't we fight on that? Why don't we do something else about this? Because clearly this is not fair. Everyone goes, well, you're being too aggressive. We need to just absorb this issue, absorb the difference. We need to just take more from the poor so the rich can get richer. They don't even hear themselves when they say these things. As someone who lives in the UK, the BBC is shit. It's so bad. Yeah, I kind of figured in the past few years, because of their coverage of Gaza, I could not believe my eyes. The things that they were saying, they're about as bad as the Atlantic. They probably don't know Uyghurs are Muslim. Neither did they know about Ukraine's existence before the war. Oh, of course they don't. They don't fucking know geography. Like, what do they know? Goddamn. Those people. Hello, comrades. Hi, Cosmo. Like, separation from parents and education in Russia, adopting by Russian parents was what was told to me. But, well, Crimea is, like, there's a lot of ethnic Russians. So it would be really weird if that was going on in Crimea. I don't know why they picked Crimea to say that. They could have, because the thing is, if you have ethnically Russian parents, why the fuck would another family adopt you to Russify you? Like, why would they do that? Why didn't they pick at least like some Western Ukraine area that is full of Ukrainians who are like ethnically and language wise Ukrainian? They've been manufacturing consent since the 1930s. I don't know, they never explained. This is why I do not understand this argument. Yeah, I also don't really understand it because, again, if they wanted to say something like that, I could have said it at least about some area that's not so heavily populated by Russian speakers. The Victorian newspaper, like the Telegraph and Daily Mail, are wars. The Torygraph frequently praised Mussolini and fascism. Daily Mail once said, "Hooray for the black shorts," referencing the BUF. Okay. Speaking of choice feminism, have you seen the video going around of the women saying that hating influencers is just misogyny and that if you hate influencers, you hate women? I haven't seen that. That's crazy. Don't tempt me for real and the public just eat it up. China group trip when? Honestly, yeah, why not, right? Because the thing is, people are always saying that they're getting like, there's like assimilation issues, right? If there's assimilation issues, then I would assume they wouldn't have their festivals going, probably, right? Like their cultural stuff. Probably wouldn't have people speaking their language, their dialect. What else usually happens in assimilation? Probably the signage, the buildings would all be not like localized, right? So let's go see if they have all that going on, because you don't just go, like, any government doesn't just like plop random people off the street to assimilate them. They usually go with more sweeping things first, like all the signage not being in their language, not recognizing their language, schools not being allowed to have like that language as a class. What else usually happens, right? Yeah, I would say probably festivals are not allowed, like their personal like celebrations, their version of things, whatever. So let's just go, let's look up Uyghur holidays, like specifically Uyghur, not Chinese Uyghur, but Uyghur, and go to Xinjiang during that time, see if they're like in the streets celebrating, if it's part of their like public life, not private life, right? Off topic, but do you feel like your art history part of your education was valuable to you, or was it mostly self-directed study on your end? I've only heard you mention your studies offhand in a few videos. I think that a lot of things that I have learned after school, the thing is, I think that there was like a certain point with art where it was kind of like me understanding art and contemporary art in specifically, and me understanding it. There was like kind of like a before and after, and I would say that I fully grasped what it's all about in the beginning of third year of university. So it definitely contributed to my ability to understand conceptual art, to understand history, art history, things like that. However, a lot of information in terms of the details was quite biased. It was a a school that was full of people who kind of subscribe to a lot of nonsense, So they're just like any other bourgeois-led institution would be. So I think that kind of, I wouldn't say that it was useless. I think it was useful. However, it wasn't worth the amount of money that I paid for it. But it's kind of a problem of Western education and how expensive it is. And by Western, I mean like North American, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of European universities are a lot more reasonable with their fees. And I know that a lot of Europeans are like, no, it's really expensive. Yes, but the school that I went to, it's University of British Columbia. It's a university that is funded partially by the government and stuff like that. So it's like kind of like a state university, right? As a province university. It's huge, it has a long history, it's highly ranked, stuff like that. And to compare to a place like Italy, for example, like University of Bologna costs about 3,500 euros a year, unless you also, like, if you're Italian and you have like a lower income or something like that, or you don't have assets, you might gonna pay a lot less than that even. Education here for me cost about $10,000, but at the end, like my degree cost me about 70,000, and that's like, honestly, like I was also working all summers, and it still was so fucking expensive. It is due to the cost of living, though, too. The cost of living is horrible here. Saw a clip of Timbaland singing only a part in this hit song with Nelly Furtado. Don't even. It's like actually so funny. He's just standing there like, and he's so focused to get that A in, because it's so strange. It's like as if he like lost his natural rhythm, if that makes sense. It's kind of crazy, honestly. No one in power is doing anything, of course, but there are networks on the local level. Never covered in the mainstream news, of course. Yeah. Hey, y'all, I found out here in Turkey, all of the government issued schools books now use 90% AI images for all images. A whole generation will grow up on that? What the hell? Have you heard of Alive 2007? No. I mean, for the school curriculum. That's so fucked up. What the hell? It will forever be beyond me how someone can be a capitalist while not even having capital. It's because people don't understand the difference between private property and personal property. They genuinely don't know the difference. Because the thing is, they think you're a capitalist if you have a home. If you have a house that you live in, they think you're a capitalist, which is insanity. Diva, that's not capital, that's personal property. That does not count, honey. Like, private property is when you own things that you produce revenue off of because you own that thing. You don't produce revenue off of your house just because you own it. You live in it. It's kind of like people being like, I remember people saying in class dumbass things like, they will come for your toothbrush, like the communists. And I'm like, your toothbrush? Bitch, my grandparents had an apartment and a summer house with land, and everyone else did too. This wasn't like them specifically, it was everybody else too. So it's like, what the hell are you on about? Because it's personal property, not private property. Like 1 to 12th grade books for education all have AI images now. That just doesn't make any sense. Why the fuck for? Especially like when you're teaching things that already happened. History, if you're teaching history, there are paintings and photos that already exist. If you're teaching bio, there's already like all the stuff that you're going to be teaching in school. It's nothing new. That all of it already has illustrations. What the hell is going on? Oh my god, Lao Shan pass on the China trip. Hell yeah, diva. As an art history major, I agree with you. It's very Western centered. Also, if you get a shit professor, you'll hate it. Well, yeah, but that's like, I think it's kind of everywhere like that, probably, right? Pink, yeah, and that original video was mostly about money. Like, she was so close to the actual point. You mean the influencer thing? Divas. Who knew? Who knew? It's, that's, I don't know if that's like a really good critique at all, honestly. Like, they just say such, like, sweeping statements that make no sense. Thanks for the response. I'm a returning older student, so I've been contemplating what I want to study and weighing different options. Yeah, I've been thinking about like grad school, but the thing is like it's so fucked up, like genuinely, because the thing is, if I can't find a job without grad school, I don't think I'm gonna find a job with grad school in my pocket. So I find it to be kind of like, it's just like a silly thing to consider for me right now. But I do like studying, and I do find a lot of joy in academic work. So it's kind of a bummer, but it's just so fucking expensive. That's mostly what it is, honestly, for me. I dabble in museum studies, so that makes it more fun. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. Like, a grad school, probably going into curatorial studies. I really wanted to go to Bologna, University of Bologna, but it's just everything is too expensive for me now. Obviously, I can't afford anything. How could I afford a fucking degree? Anyway, so yes, to those of you who haven't heard about it, let me tell you another thing. Oh, by the way, yeah, this is what pissed me off. This guy, I keep running into him. He keeps on getting recommended to me, I guess because he's Slavic. I don't know, honestly. He was talking about Selena Gomez expanding to, like, her Rare Beauty expanding to Israel. And they're like, oh, Rare Beauty is not officially launching in Israel. Rare Beauty products will be sold in Israel by retailers through parallel imports via the so-called gray market, which involves purchasing products from official sources abroad and reselling them in Israel. There are still, like, what are they called? It's an official parallel import launch. It means Rare Beauty authorized that products bought from an authorized seller's distributors in other countries can be sold in Israel retail Bee Farm. So they have an agreement with Bee Farm. People don't understand that, like, this guy was like talking about it being like, it's parallel import. And it's like, yeah, we know. It's still something that they agree to when they have this kind of agreements, you know what I mean? Like, why are you suddenly surprised, Diva? What? Did you see Selena, do you believe in love slander? Yeah. I mean, that was kind of what made me that was the reason why I stopped following Selena altogether, even though I've told you before she was my girl. She was my designated Disney girl, DDG, if you will. It was because I watched her documentary from, I think it was 2020. I don't remember exactly, Diva, but I think it was 2020 when it was released. And I was like, oh, okay. So she's like stupid, okay. Like, I genuinely was disappointed because I was like, I mean, I never have high expectations for celebrities, obviously, especially these ones that were famous their entire lives. But it was definitely one of those things where I was like, holy fuck, she's talking to a bunch of African girls who were almost married off to, or like, basically we're under this huge issue, right? And I think she's kind of like, she's just like talking to them about the fact that education was the only reason why, like, access to education was the only reason why she could have avoided being like married off or as a child, right? And Selena goes, but like, do you believe in love? oh, just shoot me. Why don't you? Just fucking shoot me at this point. Holy shit. Like, what kind of, whatever divas, whatever. A lot of these people in the beauty industry are trying to normalize is not real. Susan Yara was doing it last week too. Susan Yara? Who's Susan Yara? I don't know who that is. For who are questioning on Xinjiang, do your own research. It isn't hard to find objective truth. Don't need to go there to know what's going on. Let's be real here. Why not? Why not go there though? I mean, how are you going to find objective truth without actually meeting people who are from there? People who are defectors, most of them are paid from every country. Even if, as an immigrant, you get more benefits if you fit into anything that people say about your country. I could get a lot more benefits if I come up with shit about Russia, even though Russia has its issues, obviously. If I just specifically come up with things to make it more sensationalized so it's more fun to listen to, you can definitely get more, you can get ahead in Canada, in America, doing that. That's like not really, like anyone who's an immigrant can vouch for that. We all know that people react to us a lot better, like us a lot more, if we come up with things that are kind of like sensationalized and dramatically like bad about the countries that we're from. But also, like, do your own research. It isn't hard to find objective truth. What resources are you referring to? If this is like objective truth. Because the thing is, people who want to separate from China, from that area, they're kind of like Albertan separatists. If you are from Canada, you know what I'm talking about. Not a single Canadian wants, even people who are like in Alberta, no one who's not a MAGA-esque Canadian who has, what is it called? The Confederacy flag here, even though we're fucking Canadian. Why do you have a Confederacy flag, diva? None of people who are not as right-wing as that fuck with the separatist movement. That's kind of like, I'm not supporting MAGA movement here. I'm not going to support it in China. Like, I remember that shit. Do you believe in love haunts me? Fuck. It haunts me too, dude. Because the thing is, Vicent, we'd love to have those resources. If you have some kind of resources that are providing objective truth that people wouldn't have to pay and go and see, like, that'd be nice to have those resources then. You should share them. The Naturium founder was vacationing in Israel. Naturium? Who the fuck is Naturium? Everyone knows names of things. Susan Yara has a beauty company sold to Elf a few years ago, but still works for them. She did a photo shoot on the beach in Is Not Real. Oh, Susan Yara. Okay. Well, I don't have to remember her name. Just another shill for Is Not Real. And promoting her products in Israeli beach. Yeah. So one lady from North Korea always comes to mind when it comes to the defectors. Yeah. What is it? Something Park. Sunmi. Sun something Park. Sunmi Park? Fuck. What is her name? At least one of you must know. Is the girl who was like saying that rats eat kids in North Korea and then kids eat rats and it's this whole cycle. They just eat each other. It was like a really crazy. I don't know why she's like she could have, every country has issues. And when some country doesn't like another country, you can just say those issues even if they're not that big, they will take it and run with it. You don't have to come up with more. But she really loves to go so far. Yeonmi Park, thank you so much. I forgot her name. I always knew she was full of shit even before understanding more broadly why. Well, yeah, that girl, she's like probably one of those that are like really obviously a shill. I think she gets like 40 to 50K USD, 40 to $50,000 per one appearance, like speaking appearance. That's pretty good money that would make somebody go and say nonsense as long as they get paid. You know what I mean? That's why you have to be careful with them, because unfortunately, like, you would think, God, this is so frustrating with the world, is that like you would think it would be like a way to go to make sure that you get the right information is to go to people who are defectors and like ask them. And then you realize that all of them get money, like especially apparently, so South Korea pays like a crazy amount of money to North Korean defectors. They pay people to move, like really big money. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, of course you're gonna get somebody. Of course you're gonna get somebody. It doesn't matter what's going on in North Korea. It doesn't matter. Like, it could be the worst shit imaginable and it could be fine. And it still would produce defectors if you offer people money. And big money too. It's the way she's a conservative and compares woke culture to North Korea. Well, they are leftists. Like, what are we gonna do? Not woke culture, I guess, per se. Probably not. But in some regards, it's definitely something that MAGA people probably call woke, right? Maybe some were paid by CIA, and there are definitely some grifters, but not thousands of them. Are they all paid by the CIA plus leaked Chinese government document, reports from international organizations? Start with the UN report. Can you give us a link to whatever you think is like the objective truth? Because I've seen all these things, a lot of them. And a lot of the reports, not from credible institutions. Are they paid by the CIA, leaked Chinese government document? There was this video of the guy who was filming the alleged, what are they called? Like camps, I guess, maybe. And then it turned out that it wasn't a camp. And he got paid for a while, and then people were kind of like, not really shocked per se by that, but he got deported recently by ICE. And he like literally blew up his entire life in order to provide a video that turned out to be not a video of an actual like facility. He blew up his entire life to like feed this Xinjiang thing, and now he got deported from America, which is interesting. I guess he was not useful anymore or something. I'm not sure, honestly. Okay, so this is a little map for you guys. For those of you who are Arab, you probably know exactly what this means. But this is what this means for China. This is their map of their oil reserves and the ones that's the least depleted so far because it was less developed and there wasn't as big of a population. What is it called? Tarim? Xinjiang. Whenever the UK tell you some place is having some kind of issues, we can literally go, honestly, I'll go through one by one with them afterwards. I'll find what they do now, whether they are the ones who are going around getting paid and whatever. But whenever America or the West is telling me that there's a place in a country that is trying to separate because they are being too assimilated or their rights are being violated, I am always going to check, is it the place where it has oil? It always is. It fucking always is. It's so interesting. It's always lining up. Isn't it crazy? And every time people are like, well, we're special, this is a different situation. It's always going to be a different situation. Like when there's a conflict between like Russia, Ukraine, all the Russians and Ukrainians are acting like we're brand new, like we've never existed on this planet, and like we're better than Muslims. Of course, we have a different situation. It's not going to be about materials. It's not going to be about oil. It's not going to be about the West wanting more resources because they keep robbing everybody. We're special. We're not as stupid as those people. Our conflict is very special, and it's about culture and being assimilated and other things like that. It's about the purity of blood. We're all special. Always special. We're not as stupid as the previous victims. And honestly, considering how well China is doing in terms of like the rate of home ownership in Xinjiang and outside of Xinjiang, I'm not gonna be telling them what to do. We can't even fucking get it right here. Our people are living on the streets, but let me go and fucking read China to filth. Like honestly, until I can at least influence something for the better in Canada, in Vancouver, like as long as we have Hastings full of people who are all disabled and sick and living on the streets, I'm going to shut the fuck up, honestly, about other countries. By the way, Lisa, I'm quite new to your streams, so why is Corky hanging in there? Damn, why is she hanging in there? Divas... Damn, Empty's not here today. She has like better memory than me. Why did it start that we have Corky up in here? I remember that it's because I definitely was like Corky. Like I was talking about how I love Corky. But I know that we call it a Corky corner, but I don't remember why we kept on... I think that people kept on requesting... Oh! Whenever we were doing something, like playing a game or something like that, people were... Or we were discussing something that was really upsetting. People were like, we need emotional support. Put Corky back on the screen. So Corky is here to support us. Yeah, she was like support for our discussions and our games and whatever when we were like trying to do something difficult. And I kept on like putting her on screen because of that, I think. And at first it was GIFs, but then someone said that they can't watch the lives with the GIF constantly looping because it's like really annoying that it keeps on looping. Do you know what I mean? Like it was kind of like distracting, but also kind of like I don't know. You get it. I think you get what I mean. And then I think that's why she stuck around. And then I added Ellie later on. Yeah. I think that's what it was. maybe I'm wrong and I'm like misremembering something. You guys tell me if I'm misremembering something. But she's been in the quirky corner. We've had this quirky corner for like months now. Emotional support quirky in the quirky corner. She's there all the time. Whenever I forget to add her, whenever I make like a new scene, in OBS, someone comes in and they're like, what the fuck? Where's Quirky? Why isn't there a Quirky up in here? In the Quirky corner. And I have to apologize and put Quirky in her corner immediately. Sometimes it happens,
Do you by
divas.
chance have a gun I could borrow?
What the fuck was that? Who said that? Let me see. Twitch. Zero Lori redeemed. Do you have a gun? Quirky when she's forgotten. No, literally. Literally. The chivalrous Quirky. It's just so quirky of her to just go and handle this whole situation with a gun. Right, Pika? Do you agree, Pika? Wait, let me show you Peeks. She's right here. Wait. Pika, come on. Come here. Come on. No, Pika. Let's show people how cute you are. Oh my god. She's so heavy.
Yeah, she knows we're talking about different types of things, and she knows how crazy the world is, and how many things are being said, and how difficult it is to find information that makes sense. Right, Pix?
Feruza Balk? Who is that? Oh, my little baby. Go. She's like, Lisa, leave me alone. Oh my god. Well, now I'm covered in her hair. What? And now I also guess I got like foundation on my top. Damn it. Oh, from the movie The Craft. Okay. Damn it. But yeah, I was gonna show you guys something else that that pissed me off. I need to switch from Shopify, okay? Shopify is fucking evil. I use Shopify for my brand website because they have the whole like actual shop, right? So I could sell things and whatever. These mofos, I swear to God. Let me show you. Not Pika making so much noise. I guess you guys, maybe you can't hear it. I don't know if you can. Where is it? Oh, I actually have a link. Wait. Here it is. Okay. So, Shopify CEO. This motherfucker. Oh my god. Okay, so first and foremost, Shopify guy is a Canadian, okay? So I have a special beef with him, okay? Sorry to say. I know that most of my audience are like Americans and British people. Divas. Well, I have to complain about some Canadian shit, okay? I have to. This mofo wants to quite literally turn this country into a fascist state, for real. And the thing is, it's not like we're that far off already with the way that things are going off. Like the way that things are going right now, like we're really in our Thatcher era, okay? Carney keeps selling our guts out to foreign corporations, and even if they wouldn't be foreign, still corporations is not great, right? Regardless, but he's selling us out to foreigners all over the globe, all of our shit, our like the things that we need for infrastructure. Okay, so I'm kind of scared, not gonna lie. This is gonna be real bad in like 10 years. It's gonna hit us like a truck. That's how bad it is, okay? But this mofo, yeah, same tuna. Asshole Canadians have a special place for my fist. Exactly. I have a special bone to pick with Canadians and Russians, okay? This is why Gorbachev is on my fucking list, okay? That mofo. Anyway. Glad more people know about his nonsense now. Hopefully more people will stop using it because too many small businesses use Shopify. I'll tell you why. And this is why I'm like kind of concerned about it. Like I don't know, not kinda. I need to switch. I don't know how to switch because this is like there's so many things that they have made so expensive unless you are signing up through those types of corporations that there needs to be some kind of alternative. And maybe I should make like I should write down. I should figure out how to do this. If any one of you knows like good alternatives and other things like that, let me know. But I think I need to switch and make like write down step by step how I'm going to switch from one to another and maybe make a live explaining how to do it, like get like promoted to small businesses who want to switch, have people come in so I can explain to them how to do it, so we could all collectively switch from this guy, because he gets about 170 to 240 Canadian dollars every month from every single small business who are operating their platforms off of Shopify. Like, it's insanity. Anyway, guys, one sec. I need to go to the bathroom. Bathroom break. I'll leave you with Sexy Bag. I'm back. Okay. So, this guy, Shopify CEO, says good system would give 0 votes to those who pay no income tax, while increasing votes for higher taxpayers capped at 5. Eric Thor, fuck knows who that is. Don't know this guy. Looks creepy as balls though. Whomever he is. Oh, hi, Melita.
My lioness.
Wait, what? This is from 1 year ago, so it might have changed? What have changed? What has changed? Anyway, interesting. Interesting. ... What about weighted voting proportional to the level of income tax you pay? No income tax paid, 0 vote. $1, I guess? No, $1,000 to 100K, 1 vote. 100 to 200K, 2 votes, and so on. Cap it at 5 votes for 500K plus. For those that constantly complain about the wealthy not paying tax fair share, they'd have nothing to worry about, right? Why not reward representation of taxation and build democracy around those that foot the bill? And he responds with good system. First of all, to those of you who don't know, this Toby Latke bitch, he was contributing to Trump's campaign. So he's American blood is on his hands. Okay, divas. God, I'm trying to copy and paste, but my phone hates me.
What? I'm confused, Diva. I don't know what you mean exactly. Anyway.
Anyway. So this mofo said that. Okay, so I need to switch expeditiously. I need to figure out a way to fucking do that. Well, the thing is, they just basically, okay, the country, median income, right? Median income is how much you make. Well, the most common income in the country, right, is about 40K. Okay? 40K. Off of that, you're kind of gonna be spending, well, if you have any medical care, any of that, right? Well, you would be paying less than $1,000 probably in tax if you have any medical care that you pay for, which is a deductible, other things like that, right? So, if you have kids, which most people do, well, maybe not most, but a lot of people. Basically, he wants to have no one in the country have a vote. Not just housewives, not just disabled people too. Diva, it would be like, that would be already diabolical. If that was the suggestion, right? So people who don't make income, for example, right? It would be already diabolical, my opinion. Actually, I think it should be everyone's opinion. I'm gonna enforce it, bitch. Now, that's like not a negotiable for me. But on top of it all, they want to treat voting like fucking school grade. Wait, what do you mean? School grade? Owned by Lightspeed, Montreal-based POS company. We are letting a guy named Toby ruin our lives. Freemium e-commerce platform from France, WooCommerce, an open source project to add e-commerce to WordPress websites. There was also OpenCart, but they don't really explain much about that one, so that needs verifying if it's an option, but I don't know, bestie, that's what I'm seeing to check out. Oh, as alternatives. Okay, got it. Thank you. I'll check it out. Yeah, kind of like that, but your grade is your performance, whereas tax amount is how much you have stolen, sorry. Because these guys, most of them are pieces of shit. A lot of them are like apartheid type kids who got a bunch of money off of apartheid in South Africa. kids of Nazis because of paperclip operation. It's real fun. Rich Canadians are real something. They have interesting backgrounds. Yeah, if you don't have money, you don't vote. You don't get a vote. And not just any money, right? Because the way that he's talking about it, it's like from $1,000 that you pay in taxes. So if you are an average Canadian, if you are basically 80% of the country, at least 80%, you don't get a vote. If you have dependents, you don't get a vote. Even if you have a job, even if you're making income, your tax probably would be less than 1,000 if you have dependents. So there's like write-offs, for that. Or if you contribute charitably, or if you are, if you own a business and there's like write-offs off of your business because like you have spent more money into like building it that year or something. If you have any medical bills, like medical care stuff, for example, a lot of things like contact lenses, sometimes ACs, things like medication, right? Like you could go get a receipt at your pharmacist to submit it. So all of those things are deductible. So you kind of like don't pay tax on it. Like you do when you buy it and whatever, but then you can deduct that at the end of the year. So, for example, your tax payment could be about, like if you are someone who makes about 100K a year, Canadian dollars, your tax payment might gonna be about $700 at the end of the year because you're already paying taxes off of your income, right? Basically what he's saying is that anyone who has a regular job where it's not 100K, right? You're not like a senior engineer or something like that. Like if you are making a normal amount, which is 45 to 50K, which is very little, but this is how bad it is right now, that this is the median income for Canadians, right? If you're making that amount of money, you don't get to vote. So about 60% of Canadians don't get to vote at all. Then about 20% would get to vote once. Then another 10% would get to vote from 2 to 3 times. And then, another 15 would vote from 2 to 3 times. And then 5% would get 5 votes each. Okay? Basically saying that most of the country doesn't vote. Most of the country that actually makes things move, makes things like people who work in sanitation, the most useful people economically and socially speaking, wouldn't even get to vote. But leeches on society's back, like billionaires, they get to vote. Oh, damn. Your laptop was broken? Yeah. Bullshit. Should we talk about something nicer to wrap it up? Because we've been talking about a lot of things that are kind of difficult today. A lot of discussions that involve politics, obviously, because it's news related. a lot of discussions about sources, things like that. So are there nice things happening anymore? Fuck. Well, Reve's album highlight medley sounds great. Yes, it does actually. I am loving the sound of orchestra. It's just absolutely like, it's fantastic. I'm sorry, but the system they are suggesting is even more twisted than what suffragettes were fighting against. Insane. Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. I have good news, guys. What is it? I got a new key cut, so my mom doesn't need to know I left it on the bus. Diva. I hope the key that you lost doesn't have something that tells whomever's gonna find it where the apartment or the building is or whatever. Yeah, I'm also excited for Red Velvet August, except for the fact that they're only gonna be promoting for 1 week, dude. 1 week?
Rats.
Whatever. Whatever. Cannot believe this bullshit for real. Like, so fucked up. 1 week, yeah. 1 week. They always, the thing is, they usually do 2 weeks now, especially like the older groups, right? But 1 week, Diva, just what the hell? Melita? What are the news? Okay. I'm like all out of contact lenses, Divas. No, it's fine. It's literally. Oh, okay. I already read that. Red Flavor Summer was great. It better be the best damn week of our lives. We're probably gonna get what, like 3 performances of it at the music shows max? Probably 2, actually. Kinda sucks. You know what I mean? My uni wants me to make content for their Instagram that has 40K, and I am hoping to get more people into new media and touch designer community. Wait, what's touch designer? But hell yeah, Diva, what the heck? We'll have 3 concert performances at least. Yeah. At least that. Because that's genuinely crazy. I mean, I understand that they are like in different companies now, and I guess that they have their own like schedules and all that, but still, just 1 week is crazy. That also means that there's probably not going to be any wins. Because, like, how are you going to win anything if this is like your first like release week and that's it? Oh, Touch Designer is a software. Orchestra is my favorite too. It's my Red Velvet comeback. I'm a Revelove baby. Oh, is it your first comeback? Listen, Orchestra sounds so good. I'm kind of upset that it's so short. I think it's like under 3 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's the type of song that could be longer, actually. Fucked up. Also, Surfing Boy, also under 3 minutes. What is happening? It's mostly for responsive visual art, but I have been doing projects where you can control synths with motion capture through the software. Oh, it's the one that's like this, like everyone does this things with like vocoder, perchance. Linus is in STEM. Oh, okay. Then I have seen it. I've seen people use it. I love that. What else happened this week that you guys want to discuss? Anything that we haven't touched on yet? Guys, I don't know, Diva, honestly. I don't know if music school can be considered STEM, but thank you, Diva. Well, if you use software. What do you think of the Grammys and the K-pop specific categories? It's not even K-pop, they just did Asian, right? Like Asia specific category. They could have done another category like domestic something, like domestic song winners, to preserve, like to make sure that they're not going to be pushing out their own culture too much, you know, considering that K-pop is dominating in numbers so much. But it's just like one of those things where it just kind of looks yucky when you're creating like a new category specifically for a continent, basically. They're just trying to separate K-pop and I think it was in many ways a direct attack on BTS, probably because of their popularity in the West. I guess Grammys didn't want to give him a Grammy. It's kind of like the same thing that they did with Latin America, right? They realized that Latin America music is really, really big. So they were like, we're just going to create a Latin category. Straight up. Like decided to just like separate them just so they don't have to compete with them in the main categories, right? Instead of doing that, which is racist, they could have just had like, because the thing is, for every country, if they are doing international type of like awards, right? If they're taking into consideration music from other countries and stuff like that, they have to be aware that they might be in a situation where they are not representing the charts of their country anymore, or not the charts, but the popularity, the impact on their culture of their artists. So I understand creating a category for domestic art to make sure that you are always going to be commenting on domestic art, even if it doesn't dominate that year's charts or culturally, you know, the impact of it. I get that. I get that this is important in terms of national cultural impact analysis. I get that. You could just create domestic category, which would make it kind of it would eliminate the danger of not representing your own country's cultural output, considering that Grammys is an American thing, right? Like, you have to make sure that you are representing what's going on in your own culture, your own nation. But having a separate category for other places in the world is going to look bad, especially when you introduce it not from the beginning, right? Because it wasn't like, oh, we're going to make an award show that has every area of the world represented, and we give everyone an award for their best musician, their best contribution to an art. Because I believe that they're also, I don't know if they just do music or if they talk about music videos too and other things like that are adjacent to it. I'm not sure. But regardless, like, if they would have done it from the beginning and had every single area represented, it would have looked a lot. It would have looked a lot more neutral and a lot more like just like a decision based on wanting to represent every single area of the world or whatever. But now that they have added this Asian category, which is literally a fucking continent, they have separated a continent that has a new dominating market in terms of music, the whole Korean wave, right? It's very, very hostile looking, like you're just looking kind of racist, buddy, when you are adding this region in because of how much more popular it is right now to compare to your region, right? So it's kind of like the music output, I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good if you do it this way, right? Because they didn't add all the areas of the world even. At least that would have looked less suspicious. But they only add territories when they overtake the American market, right? So they added the Latin category when people like Bad Bunny became quite popular in America. They added the Asian category when Korean music and especially BTS became very popular in America. Because obviously, though, that there's music that's popular in every single region, produced by that region, but they are only adding it in when it becomes relevant to the American industry, music industry. If they included all countries, regions, or something, maybe I'd get it, but they are clearly singling cultures out, so it's weird of them. Yeah. Also, their CEO's lame ass response. What was it? I don't know, Diva. It's kind of nonsense, if I do say so myself. You know. Let me see. Did I cover everything that I was gonna talk about today? I'm not sure. I think I did. Okay. if any of you had something, you gotta tell me now, because I'm just checking for that jelly girl that on Twitter. Her ad is Jelly Lovey. She does like red velvet edits. Her edits are always so fucking good. Yeah, someone also mentioned about Selena Gomez and Rare Beauty. They're like, yeah, people are calling out the PR spin, saying it's not an official partnership while supplying massive stock to an Israeli retailer. She wants their money but doesn't want the backlash that comes with it. Exactly. And the thing is, she's already a billionaire. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how greedy can you be? Oh, I am saddened to hear that BTS has chosen not to participate in Grammy Awards process this year, but as a music creator, I understand and respect their decision. I do want to clarify something that seems to be getting lost in the conversation. The Asian pop category was created to celebrate the depth, diversity, and extraordinary growth of pop artistry coming from Asia. The spirit of this new category is to shine a dedicated spotlight on these important artists. Rain. Bye, Clara. Bye, Comrade Clara. LOL, I just switched to my Sims 3 game after being off for a month, and immediately the chaos starts. What do you mean Stormy's pregnant? Get locked in, Spader. You have to address everything quickly. Just checking that we covered everything quickly. The teaser for Red Velvet's music video is so interesting. I'm already curious what they're gonna go for in terms of the story. Dude, this is so funny. Everyone's like, wait, let me show you. Oh, oops. So, oh wait, I need to, maybe I can like show you the entire thing. That would be better. No? Like this? Basically, the CEO said they won't be excluded from main categories, but they'll basically never give them an award even if they get a nomination. So they created the Asian category to save face. Oh. Also, he said while the category exists, Asian artists aren't banned from Albums of the Year, Artist of the Year, and other main categories, but I think this wasn't implied initially. Okay. Weird. Let's say that way. Yeri looking at them together, and someone was like, I know he's gonna get killed, but get off. What the fuck? Yeri was so fucking scared. And someone responded to that being like, wait. Oh, it's not here. But someone was like, even Yeri was weirded out. Hi. You've been waking up so late, but hope you've been good. I've been good, yes. I've been waking up early because Hopa keeps waking me up, but I'm actually so tired because I'm always like going to bed late, but then get woken up early. God. Who are we talking about? We're just looking at the Red Velvet's music video teaser info. Actually, wait. I'm gonna actually show you the teaser perchance. Perchance. Red Velvet. Everyone's speculating this guy's gonna die. I don't know if he will. I don't know if he's gonna die, but probably. If you know, you know. Dude, it's cracking me up that I have a feeling that they're gonna have a shot of either Joy or someone being on their computer, but like kind of like that meme where people are dressing up in office clothes and then sitting in the water with their like computers. You know what I mean? Have a feeling. We'll see. We'll see if he survives. He might. You never know. Another pizza delivery boy? Damn. R.I.P. Pizza delivery boy. Anyway, I think that's all the concept of surfing frogs. Honestly, yeah. What the heck? Why are they there? Maybe they're like, oh, it's like an amphibian or something. Like a... Oh my god, you guys, it's those creatures from that weird ass Buffy episode from season 2. The ones that swim away, the guys like the swim team guys who turned into those freaks and then at the end they swim away. Is that who it is? It might be. Please, I wanted to forget that episode so bad. Dude, that episode genuinely diabolical. Probably the worst season 2 episode, right? Yeah. No, definitely. Absolute nonsense of an episode. What is it called? It's like, let me see. It's season 2, episode 20. It's called Go Fish. Absolute bullshit of an episode, for real. Like, I think it's probably like the worst of them. Nara Smith, what did she do now? Well, she just started telling everyone she never promoted tradwifery. She was never doing that. It is a tie between that one and Bad Eggs. I agree, actually. But you know what? Bad Eggs had those weird ass cowboy vampires that were really funny. You know? So it's not like that bad. I still need to watch Buffy. Yeah, she's just talking shit. Like, Nara's just being ridiculous. Anyway. Yeah. Good talk, you guys. I gotta go prep for a meeting. I still need to read a bunch of documents before the meeting. Catch up with everything. Because I am behind on a bunch of info. Also, apparently, I heard Fryan was supposed to feature in one of Red Velvet's songs and got cut. Whoa. Fucked up. First time I've seen Nara wearing pants too. Rebranding, so obviously not for real. She was like, damn, that tradwifery shit is not making as much money. I need to pivot. I need to pivot quick. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. But yeah, I gotta go prep for a meeting. And kisses. Have a great day.